Mail order bride got off at the wrong station, but a little girl said, Papa God finally answered us. Dust Creek, New Mexico Territory, late summer 1887. The wind carried heat and grit across the plains, sweeping over the wooden slats of a sun-bleached platform that served as the town's only train stop. Dust Creek was barely a dot on any map, with one general store, one saloon, and a rail line that forgot it as often as it remembered. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows on the dry earth. A hiss of steam broke the silence as the locomotive screeched to a halt. The doors opened with a metallic groan. Out stepped a young woman, her boots fresh with city polish, her dress far too fine for this land, and her gloved hands clutching a small brown suitcase. Amanda Whitmore blinked against the sun, then looked around. There was no one waiting for her. She stepped cautiously onto the platform, the edge of her skirts catching the dust. The letter she'd received months ago promised a man named Walter would meet her here in the town of Creekstone. But the worn envelope in her bag now seemed more confusing than comforting. The handwriting was smudged. The ink bled by time and weather, and the map she used had a tear right where the town name should have been. She walked to the edge of the platform, scanning for anyone with a welcoming sign, a carriage, anything at all. But the few locals who lingered in the station were either unloading cargo or too busy to notice her. Amanda's brows furrowed. Was this the right place? Suddenly, a small gasp behind her. Tiny footsteps pounded the wooden floor, and then two arms wrapped tightly around her waist. Amanda looked down to find a little girl with wild honey-blonde curls, tears streaking her cheeks. "Mama, God finally answered us." Amanda froze, stunned. The child clung to her desperately, her face buried in Amanda's skirt, her tiny hands gripping as if she would vanish if let go. Before Amanda could speak, a man's voice called out sharply, "Olivia." A tall figure strode across the platform, dusty boots, worn jeans, broad shoulders beneath a faded blue shirt. His face was sun-weathered, his jaw tight with concern. He approached fast, then slowed when he saw Amanda. "I am sorry, ma'am," he said, kneeling to gently pull the girl away. She gets confused sometimes." The girl, Olivia, looked up at him, confused and still sniffling. "She looks like Mama," she whispered. The man gave Amanda an apologetic glance, standing now, towering over both of them. "I hope she didn't scare you," he said. Amanda shook her head slowly, still stunned. "No, just surprised. I am Randy Cooper. This is my daughter, Olivia." Amanda hesitated. "Amanda Whitmore. I think I got off at the wrong station." Randy tilted his head. "Where were you headed?" "Creekstone," she said, pulling the worn letter from her handbag. Randy took a quick glance at the envelope and raised an eyebrow. "There's no town called Creekstone around here, ma'am. Closest would be Dusk Creek. That's this place." Amanda stared out at the wide, empty plains. "So I am nowhere near where I am supposed to be?" "No," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "But trains do not stop often around here. You might be stuck for the night." Amanda exhaled. "Figures." She tried to compose herself, but the weight of a journey gone wrong, the silence of an empty platform, and the warmth of a child's mistaken embrace, all pressed into her chest at once. Randy shifted uncomfortably. "Look, I have a wagon. We are about half a mile from here. You are welcome to stay the night. It is not much, but it is dry. And my daughter, well, she will not stop asking about you otherwise." Amanda hesitated. The sun was nearly gone now, the wind colder. No hotel, no lantern-lit town square, no carriages waiting, just this man, this child, and a wide sky that offered no shelter. "Thank you," she said softly. "That would be very kind." Randy gave a small nod. Olivia reached for Amanda's hand. I mean, Miss Amanda, she whispered, cheeks turning red. Amanda smiled gently and took the child's hand. As the three of them walked off the platform, the train hissed once more behind them, then rolled away into the desert night, leaving behind a woman who had gotten off at the wrong station and into the right story. The sun rose early in Dust Creek, casting long shadows across the dry earth and stirring the desert air with a brittle breeze. The Cooper Ranch sat at the edge of a scorched prairie, where the land seemed to stretch forever without promise. The house was plain, patched in places, with a small barn and a well that groaned when drawn too fast. Inside, the morning smelled of coffee and weathered wood. Amanda sat stiffly at the edge of a chair, holding a chipped cup, watching Olivia carefully butter a piece of cornbread. The child had not stopped smiling since she woke up. Randy was outside, splitting kindling. The rhythmic crack of his axe echoed through the morning silence. Amanda's eyes wandered to the mantel, where a small photograph rested in a carved wooden frame, an image faded by time. A woman with soft eyes and a familiar warmth. Olivia's mother, surely. Her name was Lily, Olivia said, catching a man's glance. Amanda turned startled. My mama, the girl continued. She used to sing at bedtime. I do not remember the songs anymore, but I remember her hands. They were soft like yours. Amanda smiled faintly, heart pinching. Do you miss her? She asked gently. Olivia nodded. Every day, but Papa says missing someone is proof they mattered. Outside, the axe fell one more time, then stopped. Amanda rose and stepped out onto the porch. Randy was stacking the last of the firewood, his sleeves rolled up, sweat darkening the fabric. Can I help with anything? She asked. He looked up, wiped his brow with the back of his hand. You do not have to. You are our guest. Amanda folded her arms. I would rather be useful. Randy hesitated, then gestured toward a basket of apples beside the door. Olivia and I were going to make a pie this afternoon. She is no good at peeling. Amanda nodded. That I can do. They worked in companionable silence for a while. Amanda peeling apples, Randy mending a fence post nearby. The land was quiet except for the wind in the grass and the occasional bray of their old mule. I was in the cavalry, Randy said finally without looking up. Served 3 years, got this place after the war. Amanda paused, surprised by the openness. My wife died here, he continued, giving birth to Olivia. There was nothing I could do. Amanda lowered the knife. I am sorry, he nodded once. She was the only woman I ever loved. I figured I would die a widower. Amanda waited, sensing there was more. But Olivia started praying every night, Randy said, his voice low, asking God for someone who could read bedtime stories. Brush her hair, hold her when it storms. He turned, then met Amanda's gaze. I thought maybe I could order a bride. I filled out the papers, even paid for the postage, but I could not bring myself to send the letter. Amanda swallowed, fingers curling slightly around the apple in her hand. I was afraid, Randy said, afraid someone would come and I would not have the heart to love them, that I would disappoint Olivia all over again. And now, Amanda asked quietly. He looked at her long and searching, but said nothing. Later that evening, Olivia knelt beside her bed, hands folded, eyes closed tight. Dear God, she whispered, thank you for sending someone kind. I know she was not meant to come here, but maybe, you knew Papa would never ask, so you sent her anyway. Amanda stood at the doorway, unseen, her hand over her heart. Outside, Randy watched the sky shift from amber to navy, listening to the wind move through the prairie, wondering how a stranger could feel like someone he had known forever. Amanda stood beside the stove, stirring the pot slowly as the scent of simmering beans filled the small kitchen. Her dress, once pressed and proper, now held faint traces of dust and firewood. Her sleeves were rolled, hair pinned loosely, and there was a quiet ease in the way she moved, like a woman settling into a rhythm she had not known she craved. Randy leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. Watching her, Olivia was outside, chasing a chicken across the yard, laughing freely. "You cook like you have done it on a wood stove before," Randy said. Amanda glanced over her shoulder. "I have not, but I watched the housekeeper in Boston. She let me try sometimes when my mother was not looking." There was a beat of silence between them. Then Amanda turned fully toward him, wiping her hands on a cloth. "My mother wanted me to marry a banker," she said. 43, widower, owned half a block near Charles Street, wore his hair too wet and his cologne too loud. Randy raised a brow. "Why did you—" "Not because I could not see myself sitting in drawing rooms for the next 40 years, pretending to be someone's trophy. I wanted something else, something real." She paused, eyes flickering to the window where Olivia was now making daisy crowns in the dirt. "I answered an ad for a mail-order bride. The man wrote sweet letters, promised open skies and an honest life, but I never got to meet him. Not even sure if he ever meant to meet me." Randy frowned. "You said you were headed for Creekstone." Amanda nodded. "That is what the letter said, but the name was smudged and my map tore right through the county lines. I got off here by accident." Randy exhaled, looking away. "Not many women come this far west without knowing exactly where they are going." Amanda smiled faintly. "I suppose I was not looking for a place. I was hoping to find a reason to stay." That night she mended one of Olivia's old dolls, sewing back the button eye and stitching the arm. Olivia watched her wittied. "Can you braid hair too?" the girl asked. "I can try," Amanda replied. Olivia crawled into her lap without hesitation, the doll pressed against her chest. Amanda ran her fingers gently through the child's curls, working slowly, carefully. The house was quiet, except for the pop of firewood and the soft hum. Amanda sang an old lullaby she barely remembered. When Randy returned from feeding the livestock, he paused at the doorway. Amanda was rocking gently in the old chair, Olivia asleep against her shoulder. She looked up at him and whispered. She asked if she could call me Mama. He nodded once, voice low. She never asked anyone that before. Amanda's eyes shimmered in the firelight. I said she could if she wanted. Outside, the stars blinked awake over the silent plains. Amanda had not found the man she was supposed to marry, nor the town she was meant to reach. But within this cracked little house, with a father who barely spoke, and a child who loved freely, she had stumbled upon something far rarer than what any letter promised, a place where she was not expected, yet already needed. Amanda stood in front of the mirror that hung slightly crooked in the hallway. The sun had dipped beneath the horizon, and the warm tones of dusk faded into the cool blue of evening. She smoothed the front of her dress, fingers pausing at the frayed strap on her shoulder. It had torn slightly the day before while she was hauling water from the well, a small rip she had meant to mend, but now it was stitched perfectly, clean, precise needlework. The thread even matched the original seam. She hadn't touched it. Amanda blinked, gently tracing the careful handiwork. Downstairs, the aroma of roasted chicken and cornbread drifted through the house. She followed the scent to the dining room, where a table had been set with modest care. Tin plates, mismatched cups, a picture of well water, and a candle flickering inside a mason jar. Randy was already seated, sleeves rolled, hands scrubbed clean. Olivia sat beside him, legs swinging beneath the chair, grinning as Amanda entered. "You fixed the strap on my dress," Amanda said softly, taking her seat across from them. Randy looked up from his plate, a slight shrug in his shoulders. "It kept slipping off. Thought it might bother you." Amanda glanced down, touched the seam again. "It did, thank you," Olivia beamed. Papa can fix almost anything. He used to fix Mama's stuff all the time. He even fixed the rocking chair when it broke. Mama said he had a quiet kind of magic. Randy coughed lightly, reaching for the cornbread. Eat. Olivia. Amanda smiled, then noticed something else. The chair she was sitting in last night, it had wobbled so badly she was sure it would collapse. Now it was sturdy, firm. She ran her hand under the seat and felt the new nails driven into the wood. She looked up at Randy, her expression softening. You fixed the chair too. He avoided her eyes, just did not want anyone falling over during supper. The lamp overhead was a single oil fixture, its flames steady behind cloudy glass. It bathed the room in warm amber light, wrapping the table in a softness Amanda had not felt in years. They ate in near silence, save for the occasional clink of fork on plate, or Olivia's quiet chatter about a bird she had seen in the barn rafters that afternoon. At one point, Amanda reached for the water, and Randy reached at the same time. Their fingers brushed, both paused, then pulled back. Amanda let out a small laugh, trying to cover the sudden stillness in her chest. After the plates were cleared, and Olivia wandered to the hearth to play with her doll, Amanda stood beside the table, hands folded before her. Thank you for dinner and for letting me stay another night. Randy met her gaze for the first time that evening. You do not have to thank me. It is just food and a roof. No, Amanda said, voice gentle. It is more than that. He opened his mouth, then closed it again, uncertain. Amanda glanced toward the firelight where Olivia had curled up with her doll in her lap. Her small fingers traced the edge of the blanket Amanda had wrapped around her. I used to think warmth came from fine things, Amanda said, her voice quiet, velvet fireplaces trimmed in gold, but I think sometimes it just comes from someone fixing a chair so you do not fall. Rye's eyes softened. I do not talk much, he admitted. You do not have to, she replied. The flame from the lamp flickered gently between them. Neither moved, neither spoke again, but something passed through that quiet, a recognition. An understanding, a peace. Amanda looked around the room once more, the patched walls, the worn floor, the smell of woodsome smoke and bread and honest air, and in that moment she realized something that startled her. There was more warmth here in this small, dusty house with a man who fixed broken things and a girl who believed in prayers than she had ever felt in all the years she spent among chandeliers and silk. The next morning, Randy stood on the porch, hands tucked into his belt, watching Amanda feed the hands with a steady rhythm and quiet care. Olivia ran circles around her, giggling with every flutter of feathers. The sun had not yet fully climbed the horizon, but something had already shifted in the air. She has a way with the animals, Randy muttered aloud, mostly to himself. By midday, Amanda was kneading dough in the kitchen, her sleeves rolled, hair pulled into a loose braid. Olivia sat at the table, threading yarn through a crooked piece of cloth, with deep concentration. What are you making? Amanda asked, dusting flour from her hands. A scarf, Olivia said proudly, for when winter comes, for you. Amanda blinked. For me, of course, the girl answered as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Every mama needs a warm scarf. That night, after Olivia had fallen asleep to the sound of Amanda's soft voice, reading from a tattered fairy tale book, Randy lingered by the doorway. She sleeps easier when you read to her, he said. Amanda closed the book slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. I sleep easier too. He looked down, scratched the back of his neck. You have been helping a lot, more than I expected. If you want to stay a bit longer until you figure out what comes next, I would not mind. Amanda studied him, searching for meaning behind the offer. You sure it would not be an inconvenience? Randy shrugged. It is already quieter with you here, warmer too. Amanda gave a small smile. Then I will stay a little longer. In the days that followed, the house bloomed in small, unspoken ways. Amanda added herbs to the stew, humming while she cooked. Olivia set flowers on the windowsill each morning. Randy laughed once at a story Amanda told about her aunt's prize poodle who wore pearls to dinner, and Olivia nearly dropped her spoon in shock. "I did not know Papa could laugh," she exclaimed. Amanda smiled. "Neither did I." Evenings grew longer. Fuller, Amanda sang lullabies by the fire, her voice weaving through the woods in silence. Olivia curled closer every night, her tiny body trusting and warm. One afternoon, a letter arrived by horseback from the next town over. Randy handed it to Amanda without a word. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. The handwriting was familiar. Her heart gave a strange twist. She read it once, then again. The man she had written to her intended groom had changed his mind, said her delay in arrival was too long, said the arrangement no longer suited him. No explanation beyond that. Amanda stood frozen in the doorway, the letter limp in her fingers. "I was not enough for him," she whispered. Randy took a step forward. "Amanda," she shook her head, her eyes shining. "He never even met me, and still I was not enough." She turned away, walked out into the yard where the wind lifted the hem of her dress, and the sky stretched cry-wide. Randy watched her go, unsure if he should follow. Later that evening, Amanda sat on the porch alone, knees drawn up, Olivia's half-finished scarf in her lap. Her cheeks were damp, but she no longer cried. Inside the house, Randy looked down at his calloused hands, hands that once held a rifle, buried a wife, raised a child, and now hesitated over the thought of reaching for someone again. Amanda had lost something that day. A name, a plan, a future she once imagined. But as Olivia crawled sleepily into her lap and whispered, "I love you, Mama," Amanda realized something just as powerful. She had found something too, something fragile, unspoken, real, and it was asking her to stay. The midday heat clung to the earth like a second skin. Amanda was in the garden pulling weeds between rows of beans when the sound of carriage wheels crunching gravel broke the silence. Olivia peeked through the kitchen window. "Papa," she called, "someone fancies here." Randy stepped out onto the porch just as a tall woman descended from a glossy black buggy drawn by two chestnut horses. She was dressed in a plum traveling coat, her gloves tight and spotless, her hat a tower of feathers and lace. Her gaze swept across the humble house and dry land with barely concealed distaste. "You must be Randall Cooper," she said, her voice clipped, polished. "I am Eleanor Hargrove." Rye's jaw tensed. He stepped down from the porch slowly. "I did not send for you." Eleanor smiled thinly. "No, but your sister did. Said you were too proud to finish what you started." She glanced around, frowning. "This place is smaller than I imagined." Amanda came into view, then wiping her hands on her apron. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "And you are—" Amanda straightened. "Amanda Whitmore." Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "Ah, the help." Olivia rushed to Amanda's side, gripping her hand tightly. Amanda rested a calming palm on the girl's shoulder. "She is not the help," Randy said firmly. "She is our guest." "Guest?" Eleanor repeated with a dry laugh. "That's one word for it." Amanda stiffened but said nothing. Her eyes met Rye's briefly, then dropped to the ground. "I brought my things," Eleanor continued. "Where should I put them?" Randy did not move. "You came uninvited. Your sister said you needed a wife, a mother for your child, a woman with proper standing and resources to help manage this situation." Amanda turned, then walked quietly into the house. Olivia looked up at her confused. "Where are you going?" "I am going to pack a few things," Amanda said gently. "No." Olivia clung tighter. "Do not go." Eleanor stepped forward. "Really, Randall, it is unwise to let a child grow too attached to someone who is clearly temporary." Amanda flinched at the word. Rye's face hardened. "You do not speak to her or my daughter that way." Eleanor looked taken aback. "I came all this way for you. You ought to show some gratitude." "I did not ask you to," Randy replied coldly. Inside, Amanda gathered her folded clothes, the little comb Olivia had given her, and the half-finished scarf. She moved with quiet hands, calm breath, but her chest was a storm. She did not want to leave, but she would not stay where she was unwanted. Downstairs, Elena paced the living room, inspecting everything from the faded curtains to the worn rug. "This house needs a woman with vision," she declared, "someone who knows how to civilize rough edges." Amanda came down the stairs slowly, her small bag in hand. She did not look at Elena, only at Randy. "Thank you for everything," she said, voice steady but soft. "You gave me shelter when you didn't have to." Randy opened his mouth but found no words. Amanda knelt to kiss Olivia's forehead. "Be brave, sweetheart." The girl clutched her tightly. "You are my mama. I prayed for you. You came." Amanda swallowed hard, blinking back tears. She stood, turned toward the door. "I will walk her to the station," Randy said, grabbing his hat. Elena rolled her eyes. "Suit yourself. I will have the kitchen aired while you are gone." As Amanda stepped out into the dry golden light, her heart felt heavier than her bag. She had not expected much when she came west, not love, not belonging, and yet she had found both. And now she was leaving them behind for the sake of pride, for the sake of not breaking apart, what she had no right to keep. Behind her, the house stood silent, and in the window a little girl pressed her palm to the glass, watching her family walk away. Olivia's fever began that night. It started with quiet sniffles under the blanket, then escalated into tears that would not stop. By morning, her cheeks were flushed, and her little body burned with heat. She would not eat, would not drink, would not speak, only curl into the corner of her bed, clutching the half-finished scarf Amanda had left behind. "She is just tired," Elena said from the doorway, arms crossed, clearly uninterested. Randy sat beside his daughter, holding her hand. "She has not slept since Amanda left. I do not see why a child should be so attached to a stranger," Elena muttered. "She is not a stranger to her," Randy said, his voice low. "She is gone," Elena replied sharply. "It is time to think about what is best for this family." "You are not part of this family," Randy interrupted, rising slowly. "And you never will be." Elena stiffened. "Excuse me." Randy stepped closer, his face unreadable, but his voice like stone. "You came here for convenience, for control, for my land. You never once asked what Olivia liked or how she felt. You looked at Amanda and saw competition, but I saw a mother, a woman who brought warmth into this house, a woman Olivia chose." Elena scoffed. "You cannot possibly mean." "Amen," he said, grabbing his hat and coat. "You need to leave." She gaped. "You would throw away a proper match for a woman who came by accident." Randy turned at the door. "Amanda might have arrived by mistake, but she is the only thing that has felt right in years." He saddled his horse faster than he had in months. Olivia's shallow breathing haunted him with every gallop. The scarf was tucked in his coat, along with a sprig of wildflower Olivia had picked the week before and left pressed in a book. By the time he reached the station, the final train of the week was already blowing its whistle. Smoke curled against the sky like a warning. Amanda stood at the edge of the platform, suitcase in hand, her hat pulled low. She was staring out at the tracks, expression unreadable. Randy dismounted, heart pounding. "Amanda," he called. She turned, startled. He strode to her, words spilling as they came. "You were not supposed to be here." "I know that. I know you got off at the wrong station and ended up in a mess that was never yours to fix." Amanda opened her mouth, but he held up his hand. "I just need to say this." He reached into his coat, pulled out the scarf and flower and held them out. "She made this for you, kept it when you left, slept with it under her pillow. Got sick crying for you. That little girl believes you were sent by God himself." Amanda stared at the items, her hands trembling. "And maybe," Randy continued, "he did send you. Or maybe you just got lucky, but I know this. I cannot let you leave. Not because Olivia needs you, though she does, but because I do." Amanda's eyes filled with tears. "You are not someone I invited," he said, softer now. "But you are someone I have been waiting for all the same." The train screamed, wheels grinding on metal. Amanda looked at it, then back at him, and she stepped away from the edge. Wordlessly, she reached for the scarf, pressing it to her chest. Randy let out a long breath, his shoulders dropping, his heart finally exhaling. The train pulled away, fading into the golden dust. Amanda turned to him. "I did not think I belonged anywhere." He smiled, eyes misted. "You do now." The sky was wide and forgiving, painted in the soft blues and golds of a late spring afternoon. Birds chirped from the trees, wild flowers nodded in the breeze, and under the sprawling branches of the old oak at the edge of the Cooperland, 3 people stood quietly, each of them once broken in their own way, now bound together by something mended and whole. Amanda stood in a dress made from repurposed linens, its seams slightly uneven, hem a touch too short on one side. Olivia had sewn every stitch by hand. The little girl had insisted on it. "It is not perfect," Amanda had whispered when she tried it on. "It is," Randy had said, his voice thick. "Because it is yours." There was no preacher, no crowd, no rings passed down from generations, just Randy, Amanda, and Olivia under a tree that had seen more seasons than any of them could count. Randy took Amanda's hands in his callous and strong. "I cannot fix the world," he said, his voice carrying only for her, "but I can fix what is mine. I can fix chairs and fences and broken doors. And if you let me, I will fix every part of your heart that was ever told it was not enough." Amanda blinked back tears. "I do," she whispered. Olivia beamed from where she stood barefoot in the grass, holding a basket of wild flowers. With a joyful spin, she scattered petals in the air, laughing as they fluttered to the earth. Then she stepped forward, small fingers slipping into both their hands. "You are mine now," she said seriously, "both of you." They laughed, and Amanda knelt to embrace her. Randy wrapped his arms around them both. For a long moment they stayed that way, beneath the old oak's generous shade, the wind threading through their hair. Amanda looked up at Randy. "You never did get a proper wedding." I got the only one I ever wanted," he said. Olivia tugged on Amanda's sleeve. "Mama." Amanda looked down. The little girl smiled, eyes shining with the kind of knowing only children have. "God did not answer me late," she said. "He answered when it was just right." Amanda's throat caught. She kissed Olivia's forehead and held her close. Above them the sun filtered through green leaves, casting dappled light over the earth, over the girl who prayed, the man who dared to hope again, and the woman who once got off at the wrong station only to find the place she was always meant to be. If this story touched your heart the way it touched ours, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Wild West Love Stories for more unforgettable tales from the frontier. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive on schedule. It shows up dusty, uninvited, on the wrong platform. But exactly when it's needed most. Tap the bell so you never miss a story where bullets missed but hearts didn't. This is Wild West Love Stories, where every goodbye might just be a beginning.